Good afternoon and welcome to all. This is episode 3 of the Heclapar versus Wirraway Play by Mail game, 27 December 1941 turn. We skipped one turn between episode 2 and 3. Minor events that occurred. Looks like a Dutch submarine is trying to penetrate the ASW screen at Ambon. Looks like we took some damage. That's SS KXV1. My Roman numerals are escaping me. Last three are 16, so we'll call it K16. Perhaps the correct connection. Some damage to K16. K16 puts a torpedo into a damaged transport, two torpedoes. It was offloading supply. That one will sink. That was damaged during the original invasion of Ambon more than a week or so ago. I was just getting the supply off of it. I did not anticipate his submarine penetrating the mines and the screen. Aggressive play and an aggressive captain in K16. The enemy does appear to be using their submarines aggressively in ports, forward ports. So I have been mining those ports. We'll see if we can turn that aggressiveness into a disadvantage. So it looks like K9 is trying the same move in Singkawang. My patrol aircraft searching the Timor Sea, the Java Sea, the Celeb Sea, South China Sea. Swing of the search. KB is transiting through this area. Reports hitting that same damaged submarine off Grenada. Might send it to the bottom if the reports of hitting it are true, though they aren't invariably true. I would say typically 1 in 4 of such reports are accurate. Maybe a little better than that. Recon over China. Recon over Kandari. Not sure what those ands are doing. Hitting Tavoy wasn't their target. Have to check the settings to see what happened. They were supposed to hit Pegu. Pegu looks like it's weathered out. I wonder if they just chose an alternate target or if I misset them. Same thing with these Sonyas. That was not their target. I wonder, just sloppy clicking by me or what? Hudson's from Kandari. They're going to struggle to get through the cap there, even though the cap is modest. Yep, one Hudson down. Let's see. They're coming in about 5,000 feet. So he's adjusted, at least for these bombers, his altitude a little higher. Something just sank. Don't think it was one of mine. Hmm. Pete's sighting something in the Fifth Fleet area. It's a bad weather today. Is the middle of winter in the northern hemisphere. We're reconning throughout his operational depth. Let's see what he's doing here. Oh, he's bombing my Special Naval Landing Force units at Palembang. Let's see. Coming in about 4,000 feet. Weather was overcast. Reports 2 disabled squads. Given the number of fighters recon says he has at Palembang, it's pretty modest cap above his bombers. My assessment is he doesn't have a chance of disrupting those units in ×3 terrain with the type of bombers he has. Looks like K-17 is trying to get at the transports unloading in southern Java. K-16, it's still in operation, firing torpedoes. An inelegant shock attack across a river by one of my brigades to drive out his ash and trash units from Chengchao. We'll check and see what happened to the industry. Difficult bombardment by me along the northern route to Xi'an. Typical bombardments by him. Neither of us achieving much in these exercises. Sort of driving his units out of the Yellow River Plain here from roughly south to north. I'm not going to trap them and destroy them, I'm just going to keep pushing them out, leaving them a viable avenue of retreat to a supply source. Interesting. South of Changsha in ×3 terrain. Got about 800 AV. We'll bypass them. Pretty quiet turn in general. I have the invasion forces moving in the Dutch East Indies and other operations moving along. Huh. Looks like I accidentally left a base ungarrisoned in China. We'll check that. Let's first look what happened. Not much change to any of the statistics. Aircraft like interesting. I lost a couple Kates to ops. According to this, 2 Hudsons shot down. Looks like he's flying something somewhere to DC-2s down to ops. And a Catalina that sums up correctly. Nothing else particularly exciting here. Let's take how I managed to leave this base ungarrisoned. First of all, it has no industry. What happened? Looks like for some reason I moved the 15th RCC out of the hex tension. It's going to take me a while to move it back. I have to find a substitute. So let's do, since there's probably nope, take a while for that unit to get back into position. I generally keep a few units to move in. There he is. So I'll just send the second mixed brigade in. I've got enough requirements at Calgan. Only need 60, so can rail in. Stop there. Let's check the industry damage. Yeah, inelegant shock attack, but only damaged 2 resources and 2 light industry. Those sites start at 30-30. I could have done that better, but it worked out. Next turn, this I told you I'd talk about what happened last turn. Siotso fell easily. Last 3 divisions. I had another moving into the hex. They'll well are moving to take low line. Then I'm going to leave a 1 hex path out towards Sion so they can trace, his units can trace a route of supply. I'll accept this guy who's stuck behind my lines, and I'm going to just sort of push them out incrementally using essentially a single division and a brigade moving from south to north out, squeeze them through this pocket, and they'll have essentially no AV by the time they're done. But my goal is ideally not to get them to surrender, just leave them in a wrecked state. Here, my armor has got itself in a position, so it will switch into move mode and move up the Yanqing Highway. There's actually one, two, three, four more river crossings along that route, though sometimes this is a viable route into the Chungking Plain. Has also arrived veteran division. Fourth will enter the hex in the mountain hex this turn. Go to move, and I won't show you all the clicks, but it'll move in. And then in a turn or two, he will know where all the armor is massed. Let's check what he's doing here. Shows 6 bombers and 2 auxiliary. The airfield is still incapable of offensive operations. According to Recon, he has at least 2 squadrons of the AVG, presumably the AVG, at Hanyang. I wonder if their long-range capping changed that right now. I only have a single understrength Sentai of Oscars. I say understrength, not badly understrength. God, it's true. He has more fighters than I do right now. So uh, I'll either have to reinforce or asymmetrically attack until I can get more first line fighters into China. Unloading a brigade. So I'll end up with 2 axes of advance in the north here in a few days. Again, my only goal in Luzon at the moment is to force him to choose between Clark and Manila. Presumably he'll evacuate Manila, and I'll take it. Otherwise, I'll fight for Manila. But I will end up eventually with 3 brigades along this axis of advance. Those are the independent brigades coming from Indochina. Very strong. They're only about 120 AV, and they have relatively poor experience fighting in Manila and eventually in Clark and eventually Bataan. Over the course of weeks, they will uh, generate, well, they will see the elephant, as the saying goes, and get combat experience. So this is always a good opportunity for some of your poorly trained, poorly experienced units to fight against in a low threat environment, meaning you can set the pace, recover as much as you need, continue to fight. So it's a good opportunity to train those units that are only at 50 experience. Nothing else exciting here. Still operating his patrol aircraft out of Cebu. Looks like he did end up forming allegedly a task force and move everything out of Port Manila. Porting 20 fighters in Manila. Submarines are operating in here. This is a little bit of an illusion. This submarine is badly damaged, moving at 1 hex a turn, and was just hit again. This one, I believe, is also heading towards Australia, having been damaged. These 2, to my knowledge, are combat effective, along with this K-17, wasn't it? Operating in Ambon. I'm going to go ahead. The task force is ready and loaded now. I will form it up and send it off to Kandari. It has an escort carrier with it. The amphibious task force at Monado isn't quite loaded yet. I've opted to send it to Kopang, and I've got a fast transport task force heading to Laterne. Going to see if we can take Laterne with really a reinforced SNLF company. It may not be enough. We'll see. But like to force his patrol aircraft out of Timor in the next few days, blind him as much as possible in this sector. Southern Java, we're ready to take Malang. Probably don't have enough combat power in these two SNLFs to take Surabaya. That's okay. The invasion task force to support taking Surabaya is here. And I have another set ready to go and sing along. I've been thinking about this. I think given the number of fighters and bombers, though they're of relatively poor quality, and his patrol aircraft that he tends to use with torpedoes, that going to cover this northern arm with Kaga, and this southern arm has Rupo and Zuho. They have about 40 zeros between them. I can easily put 50 zeros ish on board Kaga. So 90 zeros flying cap from the carriers. I'm confident I can minimize losses here. Let's just check on these SNLFs. See, tax went. Seeing much sign, very little fatigue from disruption. No sign of disabled squads that were reported. Uh, these units lost a couple squads during the landings, but that's it. So again, no sign that his bombers are going to be effective dislodging these units in time. I have heard people opine that Swamp is less good as cover from aerial bombardments than other ×3 terrain, such as uh, Wooded Rough or Mountain. I don't see that anywhere in the rules. It's true in War in the East. They have different values, but that's explicit in War in the East. So if anybody knows that for sure, I'm intrigued about it because my experience, though I haven't tested it as ×3 terrain, is ×3 terrain, whether from direct fire or attack by aviation. Should be unloaded here. Yep. So the last of the 5 divisions for the assault on Singapore moving. So ought to begin that cross. You're right about the new year. Kuantan is now settled. Said my northern wing of my invasion task force is. It'll take a couple of days, 3 days for Kaga to get in place. Kaga's currently sitting at Cameron Bay. She can only make about 25 knots, having been damaged and then patched up. But I think it's worth using her in this instance. And I think my Sallies are pretty well rested, ready for the assault. Those are the Sonia. Pretty good shape. aviation support ratio to required is what I'm trying to achieve, generally speaking. Let's just check Burma quickly, see what Recon found. Looks like he's got typical stuff at Mandalay. He has nothing at Tongyi. I can either drop to take it or let the cavalry units take it. I'll check Lasho this turn. Now that Chiang Mai is ready, I have first raiding regiment and first SNLF will be fully assembled next turn. Airborne units have to be fully assembled, and he will be easily fully assembled next turn. Drop. You can't do. You can do fragmentary drops, company size drops. You don't have to drop the full unit, but then you have to recover those companies back to the battalion or larger headquarters before you can drop again. So that slows down the pace of taking dot bases, etc. But it's more realistic use of paratroopers. Being an old paratrooper myself, uh, hate to do a platoon-sized drop or something on an island, and then another, and then another, and another. That would not go well. Okay, well, thank you for joining me. Next turn will probably also not be a nail biter, but we're only a couple days away from the assault on Singapore and the main assaults on Java. I am leaning towards a combined assault from my north and south elements, probably to split the island at Semarang. Um, it's a good sized port. It does have a minimal airfield. It's generally undefended. The other option, which is I could go straight into Sorbaha, but there are guns, coastal guns there. Um, the other option, I generally could probably force a landing right into the teeth here at Kalijata or Jati, whatever the correct pronunciation is, and also land at Semarang. I don't really want to land here because I don't want to take the oil prematurely and not be able to defend it. It might flip on me anyway, but my other option is my southern wing come around and land at my base already held, except they tend to offload more slowly, ironically, at my friendly port than they will at an enemy port. So most likely option at this point is I'm going to combine these two wings and land right at Samarang, split the island, take Surabaya, then turn north with the armor. I should have 5 regiments available. Steamroll up the coast to take Batavia. Um, and again, I expect him to repeat to Bandawing. I'll just isolate him in Bandawing and move on to taking Palembang is my expectation. I have 2 more divisions, fully formed veteran divisions coming from China that I have as a reserve. So I've got options for what to do with those 2 divisions. But I, at this point, again, don't intend to force the issue of Palembang, what I consider premature. Anyway, again, thanks for joining me and appreciate any comments. And specifically, if anybody has feedback on their experiences or any analysis they've done around differences between airstrikes in swamps, which are time sea terrain, versus other forms of time sea terrain, I'm very interested in. We'll talk more about what's going on in some of the other theaters next time. See you soon.